Hello, everybody. This is Howard, Teaserking, coming to you with week 8 of the NFL. This looks like a huge week. Uh, really looks like I'll have 3 locks or at least 2. I could have 4. I gotta think about it too. As I told you, the lines really create the locks. If it's the right line and I evaluate that, the lines are incorrect and that it looks like it looks like a stronger play because of the line, then I will lock it. So right now there's at least 3, if not 4, really strong plays that could be locked. For sure, I've locked 2 already. I've locked 2 in the college. So in the NFL, let's take a look at it. I'd like to talk about New England and Miami tonight. One thing about Miami is, yeah, they've looked really good the last 2 weeks, but then take a look at who they've played. Tennessee and Houston, 2 probably the weakest teams in the league, with Jacksonville and Tampa Bay. So while impressive that Miami is winning, you have to look at who they've beaten. Now, had they beaten Seattle and Arizona and Minnesota and Green Bay and Denver, Carolina, I'd say, wow, let's be impressed. But here they got New England. Now, if I look at the matchup, New England and the favorite are 8-2 the last 10. New England's 10-2 as the favorite, 8-1 the last 9. So New England seems to struggle a little bit more in Miami, but in New England very, very rarely loses. Again, we have them. Now, I've locked New England, I think, 2 or 3 weeks in a row, or 3 out of 4 weeks. When you get these 7 or 8 point spreads and keep them under 3 at home, they just, they win. You got Tom Brady, like last week against the Jets, and I consider the Jets a much better team than Miami. With their defense and Revis and everything else, at the end of the day, Brady throws to Gronk, boom, 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 nobody can guard him. I don't care who's on Miami and who, unless the coach is Vince Lombardi or Jimmy Johnson. I don't know who this coach is. It just shows you how weak a team Miami is if they can't win for one coach, but then another coach comes in and they turn it on and play. That means they're very unprofessional. So when the pressure gets on, they'll fold. You can't really rush Brady. He throws the ball so quickly. Miami's defense is nowhere near where Seattle's was in the Super Bowl or anything else. I definitely like New England here, laying the 2. It could be close. Let's see the real Miami team tonight. But at the end of the day, Brady versus Tannehill, it's not even close. Brady, Gronk's better than anybody they got on Miami's team. Miami's defense, Sue, I'm not impressed with. He's a child. I don't know who they even have on their team per se. That's going to give New England any problems. New England will probably win by about 10 here. Could win by a little bit more. But I really don't like these Thursday night games when they play Sunday. I think it's the stupidest thing in the world. Here the league's worried about safety and they're worried about concussions and everything, and then they play a game 4 days later in professional football, and they're, okay, you want to do it for revenue, play the game on Friday night when there's nothing going on. Thursday, at least you have some college games, but there's absolutely no reason to play this game, these Thursday night games that you couldn't play on Friday night, at least give the guys another day's rest. And I think there is an edge to the home team. They don't have to travel for these Thursday games. The next game I want to look at is Minnesota at Chicago. Minnesota's laying 1, over under a 42. And I've been looking at the over-unders in pros as I have in college. If you look at my history, my college over-unders are unbelievable. I think I was 9 for 10 last week. Ohio State, I lost by a point because the kid missed a field goal in the opening minutes for Rodgers, and I knew it would come back to haunt me. But everything else, under plays under, I go under, over plays over, I go over, and it's been working beautifully. And I've been able to figure out over teams and under teams. So I am adding some over-unders into my pros. or at least looking at them and analyzing it. I hit my lock last week, which was the over in the what game was it? The Indy New Orleans game, which made sense. You had two really good quarterbacks, two very weak defenses, and it went over, not easily, and it's a little hard to understand why they didn't score more, but they did cover the over, and it was a lock, as it should have been, with two good quarterbacks. So that's kind of what I'm looking at. If I got two really strong quarterbacks, I'm probably going over. If I have two weak quarterbacks, I'm probably going under, and that's probably what happens here. So let's look at Minnesota laying 1 to Chicago 42. It's the over-under. Chicago is more of an over team, kind of has a weak defense. Minnesota likes to run the ball and has a really strong defense. So the first way I can look at it is, do I want the Bears as the dog or Minnie as the favorite? Or do I want to go over and under? With Minnesota in the game, I can't go over. But with Chicago in the game, it's hard to go under because Minnie could score. They scored 28 on the Lions last week. So I don't like the over-under in this game. But I do like Minnie -1 to +5. I just think they're the better team all around. They got the better talent. Bridgewater, as weak as he is, I mean, Cutler's the better quarterback, but he hands the ball to Peterson and kind of escapes, and he's okay. He can throw enough to do that. In the series, the Bears are 4-0 as the dog. Chicago's 9-1 in Chicago, and the favorite's 4-1 in Chicago. So the Bears usually play them tough at home, and they'll probably cover in a teaser taking the 7 with Minnesota, but I like Minnesota in 5. I think it's the better play here. I think their defense definitely will win them the game. Peterson, I just see Minnesota in 5 as just a much better team here. Like I said last week, I apologize to my customers. I locked the Minnesota game at about 12:15 last week because I looked at the spreads in the morning and I saw them. It was about an even game, and then all of a sudden, about 12:15, Detroit goes -1.5, and I said, if I get Minnie as the dog, I'm locking them. So again, that's where the point spread dictates the lock. So once I saw Minnie as the dog to the Lions, I couldn't lock it fast enough. I put him in 3 teasers. So I apologize for that, but I did try to contact my customers and tell them, hey, I just put out a lock. I had already played Minnesota, so it wasn't a surprise that I liked Minnesota. It was just I added a lock with them. So again, if Chicago goes to -1.5, I will lock Minnesota in this game. No problems, but I don't see that happening, but the line has been dropping a little bit. The Giants in New Orleans. New Orleans laying 3 over under 50. This game, both teams stink. Both teams have very good quarterbacks, very weak defenses. This is a game to go over. Take the 50 down to 44. Breeze, high-scoring team. The Giants, Eli Manning. New Orleans doesn't have the defense to shut them down. I could take the Giants in 9, which would be the prudent play here. New Orleans is a play against home favorite, which means when they're home favorite, you bet against them, and that's 9-1. So in other words, the last 10, when New Orleans has been the home favorite, you bet against them. You're 90%, 9-1 to go against them. So you could take the Giants in 9, but I think the over is a better play in this game because to only go over 44 seems very light. And it's funny, after watching the college lines where everything's 60, 70 points and a couple of 50s, but usually you're going over, it's like 65. Here it's like over and unders are 50 almost as the max, and usually they're all about 42, 44. So you don't need a lot of scoring to get the overs, and even the unders are kind of under fit, so this seems to be lower scoring games in the pros generally. I'm not seeing those really high scoring games. But in this particular instance, over 44 seems like a good play. That's 24-21, and I can't imagine both teams don't get in the 20s with Eli Manning and then Drew Brees going at it. See, that's exactly my point with these two quarterbacks that and they both have weak defenses, makes it an over. Let's look at Baltimore, San Diego. Baltimore is laying 3 over under a 50. I like this game in two ways. I like the dog in this game because I don't think Baltimore, I'm judging it by, as a home favorite, they lost to Cleveland. And Baltimore is notoriously a very strong home favorite, but I noticed the trend changing, which is why I look at trends. So normally they've been an 80-85% home favorite. They just win. Now I'm looking at it as the trend's changing. Now it's like when you look at the long trend, it's only 70%. That means they've dropped 14% at home. That means they're not covering. They're losing games to Cleveland at home. San Diego has injuries on their offensive line, and their defense isn't the greatest, but they have Phillip Rivers, who's the top quarterback yards-wise, and a lot of touchdowns. They'll score, and I don't see Baltimore as that strong that they're going to blow them out, or that San Diego can't move the ball on them. I could easily see San Diego winning this game. But I like San Diego in 9 here. I also like over, again, the over-under is only 50, to go over 44. Because, again, you have Flacco. You should be able to put up a lot of points on San Diego, and San Diego should be able to answer. Baltimore doesn't have Ray Lewis. They don't have that defense anymore, and they're more of an offensive team with Flacco. San Diego with Rivers and Gates and Melvin Gordon. I don't know. I'm waiting for him to start getting going. So you just, good. But as long as they got Woodhead, their defense is okay, but not smothering. There should be some picks in this game. Hopefully some pick sixes. But again, I like San Diego in the 9, and I like over 44. So it's kind of a double there. But it warrants it because it's a really good over game with these two quarterbacks. And again, weak defenses. And San Diego, here's a trend on San Diego as a dog. San Diego, where are they? Where's San Diego? I usually note it. Well, here's San Diego is a road dog. 15-3 the last 18. And go back another couple of years, they're 20-4 as a road dog. This is why I love San Diego as a road dog a lot. They tend to cover a lot, and they score a lot. So even if they're down, they kind of come back. This year, the only time they've lost as a road dog was at Minnesota with the big defense there and the big pass rush, which you don't have here. Not with Baltimore. So they'll have time. He'll hit Gates. He'll hit Woodhead. And they played very well against Green Bay. That was a lock over that day, and that was a winner. But even the points at 10, you had 16 points with San Diego, was huge. And Green Bay couldn't shut them down. They went up and down the field on Green Bay, who's got a very strong defense. They couldn't get it in the end zone. I thought they got to the red zone and they didn't kick a couple of field goals. And then at the end of the game, they could have had a touchdown to win. But if they can do that at Green Bay, they'll certainly do that at Baltimore. Baltimore's not going to stop them. You can't really stop Rivers with Gates, and as long as everybody's there. I know their offensive line's hurt, but this is the NFL. They bring in another offensive lineman. Look at New England. They got nobody at their offensive line, and they got Brady, so it doesn't matter. So these are pros. They'll be able to block. I mean, it's not like college where a lineman goes down and the other guy is, a high school guy or something. Next game we're going to talk is Green Bay and Denver. This is a tough game to pick. Green Bay -3. Here's the trend on Green Bay as a road favorite. They're 21-4 as a road favorite, and 23-2 if you bet against them as a road favorite. So you go, Howard, how can this trend? How can this be? I mean, they're a great road favorite and a great play against road favorite. Well, what it tells you is that when they go on the road, they win, but they don't blow out. So a lot of their game wins are probably by 6, 7, 10 points. They're not winning. They're not laying 15 on the road. This isn't college. This isn't Baylor or TCU where they're laying 25 and then they, and they don't cover because they win by 18. this is the NFL, so they're winning a lot of games by 7, 8, 10 points, and they're probably laying 6, 7 points a lot. But you're also only laying one. So they're probably 7-point favorites in most of these games, and you cut them to 1, and they win by 4, they win by 6, and then so both teasers will win, which is good because just bet a teaser in this game. Now, the problem is Denver is a home dog. Denver hasn't been a home dog in so long, I don't even have trends on it. I have to go back to 2009. And since 2009, they were 4-2 as a home dog, but Peyton Manning wasn't there in 2009. With Peyton Manning, they haven't been a home dog. So there's no trends on Denver as a home dog. They are a very good road dog, and they are a very strong home favorite. They're over 85% as a home favorite. So what you have here, Green Bay laying 3 to Denver. So I talked about the San Diego-Green Bay game 2 seconds ago. Well, Phillip Rivers was able to march up and down. He just couldn't score touchdowns. And that game was in Green Bay, and Green Bay wins by, I think, 4 or 7. They won by 7, 27-20 or something like that. Here you got Denver at home. You got Peyton Manning. Now, I know they're messing around with the offense, all this stupid stuff. I guarantee you they're not going to mess around with the offense here. This is a very meaningful game. They're both undefeated. The way they came back against KC, I'm talking Denver, leads me to believe they'll come back. I think the prudent play here is taking Denver +9 because you can see Green Bay as a road favorite are 23-2 against. They'll probably win the game by 6 or 7 points. So you got 9 in Denver, I think is a very good play. Green Bay +3, I don't think that helps you in a teaser. You go from -3 to +3. I don't see what's there. Over/under of 45. Now here, I'm scratching my head. I'm going kind of low. Most of these over/unders I see are 42, 43. But let's look at the Giant over/under was 50. The San Diego over/under was 50. The New England over/under tonight's 51, which is the biggest one on the board. And here you got Green Bay and Denver with Rodgers and Manning, and it's only a 45. Now, I know they both have good defenses, but I don't care who you are. You're not shutting down Aaron Rodgers, and you're not shutting down Peyton Manning. I mean, it'd probably take the Giants' LT defense to shut down either one of these teams because he could get to the quarterback. But as far as that goes, I know Denver can rush the passer, but you don't get to Rodgers. You don't. He'll dance around you. I'm sorry. You're not shutting down Rodgers. It's not going to happen. Denver, yes, they have a great defense, but Seattle in the Super Bowl had a better defense. And Seattle in the championship game, I apologize, had a better defense, and Green Bay was up 19-0 before the roof fell in. But they'll score more than 20 in this game. Denver with Manning, Green Bay's not going to shut them down. All you need here is 39 points. 39 points with Green Bay and Denver, Rodgers and Manning. Now, I've watched a lot of football for the last 50 years, and whenever I've seen Joe Namath or John Elway or Marino or any of these guys, you don't shut them down. You can't shut them down. This game, I can't imagine. 39 is 21-20. So imagine that neither team gets into the 20s here. I have a hard time believing that. Yeah, I know Denver's defense, but Kansas City moved the ball on Denver's defense, and KC had to come. Denver came from behind to win, but KC put over 20 on the board against Denver. A lot of it is who they play, and yeah, they shut down Baltimore in Week 1, but that's Week 1. Now it's a whole different world Week 1. But now I just see it as looking at different things. I just got to believe that both teams get in the 20s, if not in the 30s here. I don't know. I really don't know how you're going to shut them both down. And they're both. What tends to happen is it's like a movie. It has a slow beginning, and then it speeds up, and then you get to the climax at the end. And like any movie, and football's a lot like that. They'll feel each other out in the first half, 17, they'll each score 14, 17 points, and then all of a sudden in the fourth quarter, okay, whoever's down starts throwing, going for it on fourth down, they score a touchdown. The other team responds with a now the game's on the line. They screw the running plays. Now it's passing. You got the two best quarterbacks besides Brady out here. They're going to find ways. Manning will go into the shotgun. He's not going to stay under center if they're down 10 points. And that's where you get the over, because now they're going to score a touchdown. They answer it. You only need 39. All you need is 20 for each team. I can't believe you're not going to get 20 here. If not, I can't believe one team won't hit 30 here. Green Bay is not going to shut them out. I mean, like I said, Phillip Rivers put up 20 on him and really should have put up 34. He had the ball at the 2-yard line at the end. He had the ball at the 8 or 9-yard line, and they didn't go for a field goal. There was plenty, San Diego went up and down the field on them. So, and this is in Denver, so I look for Denver to score in the 20s and Green Bay at least in the 20s. So you're looking at least 40 points there. So definitely take this game over. You can play Green Bay in 9 also, or Denver in 9 also. I think this is a dog play. I think this will be a close game. If one team gets ahead, the other team certainly has the quarterback capacity to come from behind and score late touchdowns and get the backdoor covers. I mean, hell, if Baltimore could backdoor cover Arizona, and that game was a joke, Arizona, that was a big lock of mine, and Arizona had them crushed. You get a blocked punt. I mean, give me a break. Was this Michigan State? So I'm looking at that, and I just love the over there and Denver and 9. Cincinnati, Pittsburgh. I won't talk too long on this. I really haven't analyzed it yet because I'm really waiting for a dog. The spread I see is both teams favored by 1 or even. Take the dog in this game, whoever it is. I don't care if Roethlisberger plays or not. And depending on the over-under, if the over-under is under 44, I would take this over also. But I haven't really seen the line because they're waiting for Roethlisberger to say, yeah, he's playing. So until that happens, I want the spread set. Now, if Pittsburgh becomes a 3-point favorite, take Cincinnati in the 9, no problem. Nobody's blowing out Cincinnati. If Pittsburgh's the dog, I like Pittsburgh. I like the dog, whoever that is. Now watch the spreads. The spreads seem to change a lot more in college than in the pros. I see New England spreads change a little bit from like 7, they'll go up to 9. Or Monday night, Arizona went from 7.5 to 10. This is why we play teasers. If you would have played Arizona laying 10, you lose. You lose on the back door, and they win by 8, and they should have won by 17. But regardless of that, that's why you play the teaser. I'm laying 1.5 with Arizona, because as soon as I see a 7.5, I know Arizona's a great home team. I know Baltimore lost to Cleveland at home. I'm playing Arizona minus the 1.5. That's why I locked it in 3 teasers. As I say, the spread dictates the lock, and the lock is bet heavier than the regular game. So with that said, you try to look for the lines. So I got New England in. They might go up to 9, 9.5 tonight. Right now they're at 8, so I advise to get them in for tonight, and then just play them with one of the games I mentioned Sunday. Pick your own game. You can ask me, do you like it or not? I'd be happy to answer. And I have a few more over-unders that I like, but basically this should be a big pro week. I basically like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I like 9 games. I could have 4 locks, and I really like 5 over-unders. So basically it'll be a big week. I try to tell you, some weeks just the matchups are terrible, and it's hard to play, Washington and Tampa, because both teams are so bad, they're so unpredictable. I don't want to risk my money and yours on very unpredictable. Nobody knows. Tampa's up 30 points and loses 31-30. How do you predict that? I mean, Washington's that bad they give up the 30 to Tampa, and then Tampa's so bad they give them back to 31. So that's why I don't like to play those games. But when you get them, last week I didn't have Denver, I didn't have Green Bay. A lot of the teams that you like to bet are gone. So that's the problem with the buys. So if the wrong teams are buyed, you can't bet the strong teams. So that's what I'm looking for. So therefore, that's what we're trying to establish here. Is some weeks the matchups are really good, and it's really easy to pick the games. Like here, the Denver Green Bay game. It's a very easy to take the dog, take the over. Boom. I know what's going to happen. You got Rodgers and Manning. They're going to score. Should be a close game. I'd be shocked. The only thing that wouldn't shock me is if Denver won by 20. Tell you the truth. I don't see that happening, but I mean, I don't see Green Bay blowing them out. I just don't think you're going to blow out Peyton Manning at home. I don't think Green Bay, they'll blitz Clay Matthews, but Peyton Manning's seen the blitz before. They'll adjust to it. Kansas City was beating them up first half. Second half, who won? Denver. So he's got a way of getting there. He's too good of a quarterback. Yeah, he's old, but that's BS. He's still Peyton Manning. He's been there, done that so many times, especially at home. He's not going to get blown out. So basically, that's what you're looking at. So it's very good matchups this week. I definitely recommend buying my pro picks, my lock picks. Buy the college. I have a huge college. So basically, that's what I see this week. Let's bust these bookies, bust these sites. Let's really make some money. I really want you guys to make some money here. So good luck to everybody. Again, this is Howard the Teaser King, www.teaserking.com. Please leave comments or go to the site. You can email me, and I'll be happy to help. Again, there's about 3 or 4 good locks and another 3 or 4 real strong games that I like, not to mention the games I've told you about, to help you out. Okay, everybody, have a great day, have a great weekend. Good luck.